Oh, you look at the ground, it actually cracks. I mean, there's cracks in the ground from it just.
And they live in the town, they don't.
Really?
You're way
Alright, you ready?
out in the country.
Hey, one question real quick before we start. Did you make extra copies of that?
No, I'm sorry, I think I scanned it in and then.
Alright, well, we're gonna go ahead and open at 6:03. Call to order. Hit the gavel, Karen.
Good go.
Just kidding.
You got the camera.
He's scared. First on the budget, or first on the account finance agenda, do you wanna do leachate rates first, or do you wanna go to other
That's
stuff?
fine. We can do it. All right. This is a leachate agreement. I think council looked at it at the last council meeting and held off on it. High points in this thing, this is a sewage leachate amendment to our town code that we would put in there saying that we'll accept it, okay? That it's legally acceptable for the town to do it under certain conditions. And then behind that, there's an actual agreement between the town and Nottaway County. At some points, 6 months ago perhaps, we had a meeting with some members of the Board of Supervisors here. Ted Costin was here. We talked a little bit about leachate. And I think at that time, there was an agreement in principle that the town had been charging 0.8 of a penny for leachate, and we were only billing for 50% of the volume. So in the process of adopting our budget, we came up with, and I think that the Board of Supervisors at the time was agreeable, that we would go to 1 penny, and that's what this agreement reflects, and it would be for 100% of flow. And it was a significant amount of money. It was about $90,000 more. But if you look here, we did a comparison, and I can get you additional numbers if you need it, but the two closest wastewater treatment plants that accept flow, and the lowest was South Hill, Virginia, and that was at 3.3 cents, and then Hopewell was at 8 cents. It's actually not per ton, it's per gallon, if you look at that. Yeah, it's per gallon.
Sorry,
That's all right.
garbage and leachate.
So you're looking at still over 3 times,
What we were proposing to charge, yeah.
3 times less than what.
A third of what we were proposing to charge, less than a third. More than a third less, that makes sense.
I mean, we even had some numbers, if I remember, at 15 cents per.
I think there were some, but those are the ones I could
Yeah.
recall off the top of my head. And I do know that South Hill was the next place that we talked to or requested a survey from, and it was 3.3 cents per gallon, okay?
I think obviously we're not looking to gouge anybody for anything, but if the county's going at market rate for us with tonnage, what's market rate for
Well,
leachate?
I will tell you in comparisons, and we'll get to landfill stuff, but that $42 a ton that's being proposed by the county administrator is appreciably more than market rate. It is probably a third more than what we're finding in the market. In addition, this agreement needs one modification, and I wanted to make sure you saw that, and I think we have a little chart in the back. Somewhere in here.
Is this what she just made copies of?
Oh, goodness.
Big chart.
No, what I wanted to show you was the sludge volumes, and that is in the next, because this is all intertwined, but there's, if you go under the next tab. There you go. One of the things that was discussed in that meeting with the town council and our budget reflects was that the town, in exchange for this 1 penny rate, which was still very low, Mr. Costin had proposed, and I think both parties nodded their heads, that the sludge would be waived. That would not be charged. So that would be a savings of $17,000 a year, if not charged. And I think we can go through that landfill agreement or the landfill rate policy that they have, and I think it would be, gosh, I think it's $200 a ton if we carried sludge to them.
Now it's 200, whereas we were only paying 52 for this.
You're only paying 52, and I think the proposal takes it to $200 per ton, and I'll tell you that for sure in just a moment.
I don't have the best memory in my mind, but sitting right behind where Bev is in
200
that road,
$200 a ton for sludge.
I
On that
recall,
proposal.
and it should be on video, but I recall the 2 individuals sitting back there,
Mhm.
and they stated that if we went to the 1 penny, the 1 for 1, everything else is going to stay even. I mean, we have that on video.
I kinda
And
remember
then
that
all of
one.
a sudden, our leachate rates, or our sludge rates are gonna go up to 200 when they were 52.
Well, if you sign this leachate agreement at a penny, I think the intention was that sludge, $17,000 would go away. If it goes to 3 cents, 5 cents, 8 cents, whatever it goes to, if there's a change, I don't know if that free sludge is still on the table, but it'll be $200 a ton, and from $52 a ton, so it'll be a 300% increase.
And I hate that we're all both at a race to get to the top. But no offense, the battle started at the county level. I mean, we agreed to help ourselves, help them, and it would help us.
I don't. I know we're skipping around a little bit, but on the landfill stuff, and I think there's a letter that Jennifer has handed out to you from the mayor and crew. Irregardless of what the county administrator says, the town manager and crew and myself were not told about this $42 increase. I'd have put it in the budget, or I would have started squawking 2 months ago about towns being discriminated against.
As strict
Unfairly.
as Jennifer is
Yeah.
with the budget, it'd have been in the budget.
It'd have been in the
I can
budget.
promise.
Yeah, yeah. So he did not tell Brian Thrower or myself that was going to happen. He can contend, oh, I told you, but it's not. But if you look at land fee schedule very quickly, and I know I'm bouncing, but that land fee schedule says for residents. Well, we assume we are residents, right?
I live here.
You pay taxes. So when you look at that, no charge on garbage, natural vegetative, yard debris, small furniture, or small appliances. No charge for garbage for residents. If you go to the next line, it says specifically towns. Now, we do carry them things like adopt-a trucks. We carry them things like when we tear down an old house. That would be $42 a ton. I agree with that. We're cool with that. But it's that municipal garbage where it says clearly, for residents, everybody in this room that lives in the town of Blackstone pays taxes. You're a resident, there's no charge on garbage. I don't know where Ted came up with what he came up with, but it's certainly not what he indicated to me or the town of Crew. And so nonetheless, we're looking at a net on that of about $129,000 in the event you hold the $76,000 that we collect for the $3, okay? Your net difference is an additional, as I see it, $53,000 that the town will have to come up with out of budget to pay for this.
So we can't go, you can't go back and argue the point?
Sure.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think the
'cause
point's been argued, but it's been said, what's done is done,
That makes no
is the
sense.
exact wording that I think has been said.
We have a member of the Board of Supervisors here, and if you have questions for John, if he's comfortable with answering, but nonetheless, if we go back to leachate, we have this agreement at 1 penny per gallon for the full volume that we do. It was a net increase to the town of $91,000, but in addition, it's still just a third of what our nearest competitor, who's about 35 miles away, charges, okay?
I don't think we should, I don't like the idea of us saying, all right, we still collect the LC charge, the landfill charge,
Mhm.
but then we hold it. Because technically, we're still taking it from the taxpayers. If we're gonna take it in, it needs to be remitted to the county, and we just tack that on the leachate, in my opinion.
Well, I think whatever you do with leachate, you need to cover that $53,000 if you decide to do that.
If we're gonna take it and not remit it to the county, we shouldn't collect it again. The citizens of Blackstone are getting double charged, in my opinion.
Triple charge.
And no offense to the sheriff's office, because they've received some benefits from this increased tax revenue, and it's well deserved, but that's only $350,000-$400,000 worth of the $1.8 million windfall they're gonna get from,
That's the last item on the agenda. We'll get to that.
it all entered.
It all ties together, sure. So we have an issue with leachate. And at a minimum, another penny could likely cover your leachate or your tonnage collection. Whether the sludge will be waived or not, that'll be up to the county. But if it's not waived, then it will be $200 a ton based on this agreement.
Penny is how much on our side?
How much? We have paid $17,000 in the past 12 months for the disposal of sludge from our wastewater plant, which are the solids, kind of gross, but it's the somewhat dry solids that come out of the wastewater plant. It's not quality to make malorganite. It's not quality to spread on land. You know, you say a biosolid. It's a Class C product and has to go in a landfill. Okay. And we talked to Doc Bug about, hey, can we make this a Class B, which you can spread on land? And he said it was very expensive in processing and $800,000, and forget it.
And they wanna go, how much per ton on that?
To $200 a ton from 52.
Is that acceptable material at our other local landfills?
No. And we'll share with you some dollar figures that we've collected from other landfills as well. But I think that you would have to, in your calculations, I assume we would have to go up $70,000 on your leachate to cover that, plus whatever we'd have to come up with our tonnages on sludge and figure that at $200 a ton to cover that cost.
I'm not looking at making any extra money.
No,
I just wanna break even.
cover the
What
cost.
we budgeted.
Yeah.
Well, that's only 11 months right there.
Okay.
So
Excuse
you
me,
might wanna,
11 months.
add 56, which is
And another,
22 maybe.
I was gonna be able to say $2,200-$2,400, something like that. Now, why is it so high in February? Is that because of the
74.
Afghan,
So high in February?
because we were all had our Afghan sewage?
Could be, I don't know, it could be that they sent the bill out at the end of January and maybe it didn't cover several
Gotcha.
chippings there at the end of January, whatever, I don't know.
Okay.
But-
December that's so low compared to the rest of them.
But if you take our tonnages, the 348.56, I think Jennifer had done that, and you did it at $200 a ton, and I'm looking over her shoulder, I see $74,000.
That's because I had to add in another 12 months.
Another month.
Because we didn't budget anything. So we
Zero.
didn't even budget the 17. So now we did not budget
Budget
anything.
that's less than
Right,
12 days
so
old.
now we're gonna have to do an appropriation, because we need, if we go to the 200, we would need another 75.
All right, so it'd be 75 plus. How much tonnage do we typically, have we figured that up?
Tonnage, yeah. I don't think it's right. But it came from the county, but the numbers are impossibly low. If you look at that, what's that, 350 tons of just sludge?
Well, no, I'm talking about garbage, so if they're, okay.
But they're proposing, or they're.
Okay, so what we got right here?
The problem is I don't think they ran tickets every time our truck went over, so I don't even know how Philip and I can project that. These volumes here, we believe are just like our adopted trucks,
Yeah, this is impossibly low. It says 80 tons for the entire year.
which would just be our adopted trucks, and when we run over the scales, the problem is, so we can't even project, because we don't know how much.
Yeah.
Are they weighing us now? Do you know what we've used?
I think they're weighing, but I don't think they're charging.
I mean, it'd be really nice to know what an average truck
Yeah.
weighs when it goes out there.
We asked the county for it, and this is what they provided, but if I look at this in pounds and do the math, 165,000 pounds divided by 2,000 is 80 tons, and that's impossibly low. If you can see what we're doing with sludge, it's 350 tons in the course of a year. You know we're doing way more than that.
I think this is just like adopted truck.
Yeah.
That's just stuff, but what did Dan say our garbage trucks they could hold 2 tons in the, remember he was like, nope. our
It's
trucks-
mighty wet and heavy. I don't know. I was thinking this is right, but after looking at it closely and looking at that sludge
Dan
amount,
knows how much
yeah.
our trucks can
So
hold.
even if you were, say, 2 tons a load, how many, do we go out?
2 a day.
2 a day?
Say 2 a day on average. And that used 325 days a year, because you got weekends and things where you're not carrying it.
25,
Yeah, use 325, and
650.
That's a 1,300
tons. Yeah, not 80 tons. That sounds way more right.
times $42. That's 50, just say $55,000.
Mm-hmm.
So if they charge us that, do we, everybody gets the $3 utility landfill fee on their light bill every month that we send up there? Are we gonna get charged the 42 on top of?
Yeah. The 42 will be charged
To us?
for all tonnages. We can offset to ourselves. So they would send logically a bill for $130,000, okay? Using these figures, but I'm telling you, I don't think these are correct.
So we can't keep that $3?
Yeah, we keep the $3 and offset,
Apply it to the bill?
with the net being
I didn't know if it
$53,000.
was on top
Yeah.
of. I didn't know if they still
No.
expected the $3.
We wouldn't send the $3 to them, and I think
We'd apply it to
we'd
them.
apply it towards
So
our,
it looks like, what, a $130,000 increase if you add the 2 together,
yeah,
roughly?
roughly.
And that's obviously a big, very
Mhm.
rough.
But I've got to confirm these numbers. I think they're low, because that's not based on
yeah,
a,
we're not, yeah,
What
whole
did
lot
you
of
come up
tonnage.
For your tonnage?
56,000, $55,000.
Mm.
Yeah, $55,000.
That's real close to what I'd come up with. And then the 76 that we already collect on the $3 is the 130 thereabouts. But please let me go back and reevaluate these because I don't think the numbers provided are
Go
correct.
from 1 penny to 3 pennies.
Mhm.
What does that bring in?
Well, right now, if I'm not mistaken, increasing it by half added about $90,000 or $91,000. The net of what we would get from the small increase from 0.8 of a penny to 1 penny plus a half to a full flow was an additional $91,000. I'm remiss I don't have the budget in front of me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we need to go higher than that.
I mean, I'm looking at South Hill, the lowest rate we've gotten was 3.3 pennies.
That's the lowest one we found.
I mean, I'm looking at 3 cents. Because we don't know what, the $75 or the $55,000 for the total tonnage that we would take out there, we have no clue. We're shooting off the hip, it sounds like.
I've got to clean these numbers up because 165,000
Well, it
pounds
doesn't
is
sound like
in
there's
no
gonna
way
be any
right.
way for you to know.
I don't have that good number. If you're taking 350 tons of sludge, I know we're not taking 80 tons of garbage.
Correct.
That's impossible. So we'll clean that number up and fix that, but I do think the 3 cents on the leachate is certainly reasonable. I do think we need to have a public hearing. I think we need to let folks know. We didn't have the opportunity to really know what was going on, and I don't know how well that was, because it wasn't advertised at the town of Crewe and Burkeville, or town of Crewe and Blackstone, but, and I can't speak for Burkeville, but the mayor of Crewe wrote a letter to you,
I would like for
and
us
he
to-
mentions the town of Burkeville as well. Yeah,
I'd like for us to write one as well, because I would like if we didn't have to do any of this. And
Yeah.
with our status quo.
leave it like it is, but, like I said, with the leachate, I think the 3 cents is reasonable. If we find out if it's a windfall, then we can come back and back off of it if you need to. But you're still the lowest in the region. They don't have to drive anywhere. So, but do factor in that we've got to, I don't know if the county will then still waive the sludge rates for us.
That's why we need to include it.
Yep. At $200 a ton. But I will tell you this. We've called around, checking the market, what other people charge. There are 2 private landfills in the region. One is in Amelia and one is in Lunenburg County. Amelia County has confirmed in writing that they would take all of our waste, for $36.50 a ton, but we got to get it there. And there's a landfill whom we'll be meeting with on Thursday. The town of Crewe and the town of Blackstone will meet with them on Thursday to consider carrying waste potentially to Lunenburg County at $28 a ton. Instead of the $200 a ton for sludges and all that kind of stuff. So the market rate, the 42 is not, it's bloated government. It's not even competitive with the private sector in any form or fashion. It's simply a figure to fill a budget deficit that's been growing and hadn't been addressed previously. But you can see there, Jennifer's done that. $36.50 with Amelia Waste Management. And Lunenburg is Meridian Waste at $28 a ton. But we got to drive it to Victoria. So we'll discuss that and try to figure out where we're at. It's clear as mud. As you can see, there's about 5 different things floating around there. But if we address the first item, which is the leachate, I would recommend to the town that I make the modification to include the sludge being waived at 3 cents per gallon for leachate. Now, like I said, we don't need a windfall. We want to break even. If we find out that that is far in excess, then we can back off of that at some point.
So it's 3 cents per gallon.
Per gallon.
This wouldn't,
No.
Yep. And
per thousand,
no.
something like that, per gallon.
per gallon delivered.
And you still wanna negotiate the what is it, sludge gets waived, is that what you said?
I will include that in there. Now, whether the county will honor that, because this is changing, I don't know, but I'll include that in there that the sludge would be waived. If the county says no, at 3 cents, we got to collect $200 a ton. That may factor into, or maybe a relationship with a private hauler. We're by far, I suspect, their largest customer.
If you haul from, if you change to where we haul and go to Lunenburg,
Mhm.
it looks like it would save you, this is not including fuel,
Mhm.
and some extra time, obviously. It would save you $52,000 in tipping fees.
And I got to pay gas, and I'm in for an
So
hour to
we-
drive
we
down
gotta
there.
Really, and again, I wish we could keep going here. We don't have to be battling this.
Well, there may be something that we could work out. Meridian does a can, maybe they service dumpsters. And that would help our guys get done quicker and do some things. And Meridian does do dumpsters, whether they can pick up our dumpsters or not, because of the type and the garbage truck that we have. I would have to check into that. But I think that's really the biggest issue tonight is the leachate. We want to get the information in front of you and let you know what we're doing. But as far as the leachate goes, I would ask that you make a recommendation to the council with the caveat that if we find it's a windfall, just like we're doing with Fort Pickett on their sewer, if we find out they're not producing 200, Michael Alder has agreed that we go back to the table next year and we say, all right, we need to address this, or we need more, we need to raise the rate or reduce the rate. And I don't think it's the town's intention, certainly not mine, to do anything more than break even. You know what I mean?
Do you think, by sending letters like Crew has done, that it would help and that we wouldn't have to do any of this? Do you
I would hope so.
likelihood?
Maybe a letter from the mayor works as well. And I don't know when the Board of Supervisors may consider it again. I don't know if it's on the table. Ted has said it was in the budget, and they adopted the budget, and it's done. So I don't know if there's any reconsideration of that process whatsoever. But when do you meet again? 21st. So the 21st, couple days after council meeting. So if you want to hold, we can hold. But you're going to get a nasty bill next month.
Well, let's just hold our bill.
Count on it.
And I would,
Take
I
that to
don't
the
want
bank.
us to react
Mm-hmm.
and put something in stone right now,
Mm-hmm.
where if we can just simply write a letter just like Crew is and
Straighten it out.
it may not straighten out. That's why I said let's hold the bill.
Mm-hmm. We
I just
wouldn't.
have a lot more faith.
We won't
I
get a
think
bill
it's
until
sad
the end of the
that
month
we're
anyhow.
successful.
We won't get a bill till the end of the month. And the Board of Supervisors will have met, you guys will have met, and maybe even the 1st of August. I'm not sure whether.
Sheila and I up here to go, oh yeah, let's go ahead and tack it up to whatever,
Mhm.
and then we can try to avert all this with a letter.
Yeah.
Smart. And it keeps the peace in the county. I agree with that. And
That's what we're trying to prove that we're trying to do, but doesn't sound reciprocal.
this is just bad policy. This is not good policy.
So if they meet on the 21st and they don't discuss changing
Then
it,
we
would you guys
will-
wanna move with, like, what?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, then at that point, yeah, we need to have a letter to them prior to that.
Well, let's get the mayor authorized to write a letter on behalf of the town, put it on the town letterhead, and we can help them draft it and give them the data and the facts and figures. But
I don't like this race, because ultimately behind all these pockets is who? The citizens out here.
someone's paying it.
Not because the town of Blackstone wants to make more money or because Nottaway County wants to cover a deficit. No, guess who's paying for it? The
Citizens. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I don't want us to sit up here and be reactive when we can hope and pray that maybe they'll just say,
A
you know what? we
wise
did you wrong."
course of action. If we can just kill all this together and keep on working together, it'd be great. But
I just know when they sat back there,
mhm.
third row from the back, they said, if we go to 1 penny, 1 for 1, everything's easy.
in the sludge,
In the sludge.
in the sludge.
Everything's easy. There was no mention whatsoever about a $42.
Well, you can see in the policy it says residents dump trash free, no charge. In the policy. Now, if we carry them a dump truck full of couches off the side of the road, we pay
Understand.
$42 a ton.
Understand.
That's agreed. That's agreed. Okay. And our tonnages really aren't that much. If you fill up a dump truck, adopt a truck, sometimes they're 5 tons, a ton, 12 tons, stuff like that. I mean, it's not a huge amount every time. And I say tonnage, it's like $12, $15, $18. So it's, and we charge $25 for each. Okay. Would you like to adopt a motion in anticipation of a letter going out, or do you just outright want to wait?
I
I
would
said
think,
wait.
yeah,
Wait. Okay.
I want to be on the good side.
Okay, so that's the leachate. As far as the garbage goes, I think they all tie together, and I don't think there's any motion or action for you guys. Do read that policy. The sludge is proposed to go to $200 a ton if the county doesn't waive it, and that's a lot more than $28 a ton. Okay. And you guys can look at all that kind of stuff. Ugh, this one right here is gonna hurt you right here. Personal property taxes. I need to get you,
People don't realize how bad this is going to hurt come December.
oh, they're gonna get slaughtered.
it's,
Well, you
I
just
mean,
tell
it's gonna
me
be
what you
terrible.
wanted.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of data here. I did pull together what the government finance officers were talking,
Good.
what other places are doing, cause I think everybody's kind of scrambling as well.
There's really two issues here. And the General Assembly, you can see Jennifer included that House bill and a lot of that data in there, where the town is entitled to adjust its personal property taxes rate to attempt to offset the very high personal property tax assessments, even on used vehicles. This year, the year just passed, we were about $20,900,000 in value on vehicles, and this is in your packet as well. This coming year, I think we were going to be about $26.5 million in value. And I think you're looking at approximately, I don't know, 27, 28% increase in values. You're entitled by state code to reduce your rate. We are currently an 85-cent tax rate, and our budget reflects an equalization so that we collect only the same amount, okay? No windfall. But here's the problem, and I don't know how thoroughly the Board of Supervisors were briefed on it, but there is also tax relief percentages, and the county has always provided a 60% tax relief to all personal properties. But I do think there are some exemptions like commercial vehicles, boat trailers, all that kind of stuff, campers. Max allowable. That was what it was in 2003, I think, when personal property tax relief started. It started at 60%, and it has stayed at 60% in Nottaway County. This one year, this current year, not only with a 20+% increase in valuation, but the county is also, and I don't know if this is the Board of Supervisors, I'm not trying to cast aspersions, or the county administrator, but the county administrator has advised us that 60% is going to be dropped to only 35% relief. Net result, and if you look at some of Christy Hudson's emails and data and stuff that she had posted, I think you're seeing a net percent of, and many circumstances of 100% increase in personal property taxes in 1 year.
Absolutely.
And that's just on the county.
Theirs too? That's crazy.
This says 40 is what Christy gave me, but her most recent that she posted, I think on the county website, said 35%. Is that right? 35%.
35 is what it is.
Yeah.
It was the 40% that was presented to us. I never heard 35 till after the budget was passed.
Yeah. Christy advised us, and I think she put something on a website that said 35%. So that is apparently done in the county, and I think the net result is, and Billy quoted a number of 1.8. I don't know that number. It sounds like a lot, but when you double the personal property tax,
You can make some
you're making some money
Absolutely.
in 1 year.
Why would they doing that? I mean, what did,
The response I've gotten is because it's funding, and that's why I mentioned the sheriff's department, because they're funding 2 new deputies or 2 new deputies, whatever it is, and then 2 school resource officers. But I'm telling you,
But
that's
that's not the way-
$400,000 at max. That's not $1.8 million.
yeah, but that's not the way they go about, offsetting it.
What we're proposing, and Jennifer and I spoke earlier today, and I think she's right. We're not looking for a windfall of any kind. And it's our understanding that we can have Christy Hudson run the tax books or personal property tax books at a 60% rate still, and leave it at 60.
Already.
Gotcha.
But we do need to adjust that.
So when she sends it down to Brittany,
It should have a 60% reflection, which is the same as this year. And
They drop theirs and we don't want to do that.
We don't wanna make
So
money.
We have to get her, cause she runs the books and in order
Correct.
for the taxes to
she just
flow,
simply passes it down
right,
to us.
we have to tell Christy of any rate increases or decreases before Brittany can even start processing.
But that wouldn't solve everything because
It would.
the value still.
but we have to drop the rate from 85 cents to something less, 27, 28%. We can do the calculation. I think it's going to turn out to be whatever, a quarter, about 20-cent reduction in the rate, approximately, Yeah, about 65 cents.
Like, cause Brittany said, like, the ones that are, just the vehicles, remember we had the discussion on what classifies. And so this is what Brittany pulled, this was last year's assessment, sorry, that's wrong date up there. This was off of Christie's paperwork for the vehicles. And of course, it doesn't include, this says our existing rate would get us this, which we don't want.
85
at all.
cents.
Right, and so to bring it back down, but the problem is this doesn't include the PPTRA relief, you know, that's why I wasn't sure.
Leave it at 60 and go to 65, and you're not quite, but within $5,000 because you don't want to do a half a cent or a half a percent. Good work.
Hey,
Excellent.
Philip,
Yep.
Can I share some information for him?
Mr. Chairman? Okay.
All right, right before we went to, public hearing on the budget, in that meeting, I asked the board to talk about 3 items. Number 1 was a commitment to Crew for their $200,000 because all the fire departments had sent in letters of support for the ARPA funds to go there. The second one, I can't remember what that was, but the third one was about addressing the sheriff's request. I said, are we really going to go to a public hearing without addressing the sheriff's request for dispatchers? And I even told them, I felt like this personal property tax was a way that we were gonna take money and look like we done a favor to the taxpayers by dropping it 10 cents, but we were still taking their money. That's bottom line, we were taking their money. So, at that point, I mentioned just like this, I said, I'm not scared to call for a TI if it's for the health and safety and welfare for the citizens. TI being a tax increase. If you need the money, do it honestly and transparent. And at that point, we felt like there was gonna be a little bit of an overage, and it was roughly a small amount of money, but anyhow, I said, well, let's get the sheriff one. And the sheriff, interjected and said, 1 doesn't help us with our dispatchers, we need 2.
Because of shifts and stuff.
Right, bingo. So I said, 1 cent is $100,000, get the sheriff his dispatchers. Okay, that's what we were getting ready to go to public hearing with, a 1 cent tax increase, but that, in my opinion, was to lower the rate down to $3.25 and not take the citizens' money. All right, when they came back, they presented all 3 dispatchers and 2 SROs. Okay, well, guess what? SROs are funded with a grant now. So where's that additional money gonna go? But let's be honest. They are perpetuating a issue here where, you have some fluctuation with your personal property for 2 years. Okay? These dispatchers are gonna have to be paid for somehow, some way, and you're using a fluctuation system. That don't work for me. Okay, then you're talking about a over $300,000 increase in operation at the administrator's office? Oh, I know why.
When you have planners and.
Bingo, when you do that. So now, just so you know, there was money, as I understand it, that 1.8 million was to go for, and all we had talked about was the 2 dispatchers. Well, then they came back at our next meeting, all 3 dispatchers. Hey, good.
Still doesn't equal 1.8 million.
That's right. But now the 2 SROs are covered with a grant. I don't know if that grant is kind of like the first one where it was like 4 years and it paid a
It's kind
certain
of like the
amount
COPS
over.
grant. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and if it is, well, guess what? We still gotta be a lot thinking about that.
In 4 years, you gotta pay the 100%.
Bingo. Okay, I'm not at any point in time ever gonna stand by and allow the health, safety, and welfare of these citizens to become questionable. Do we support this or not? That's unacceptable for me. Okay, so now we're here, okay? And it was the reason why I voted against the budget. Okay, I didn't feel like in 2020, the board voted to increase the fees out at the landfill. I voted against it. Why? Because when asked in open session, the previous county administrator said, I don't know if that'll fix our problem. I'm not gonna charge the citizens money not knowing. Give me the
Just throwing it
study.
out there.
Give me the study. So now, when it comes to this, there was never a formal vote to increase them. But the adoption of the
It's
budget,
included in the budget, and that's their.
bingo. So that's another reason why I voted against. I was not gonna put something in there, because here's the other thing I noticed. I believe it was October, the last 2 months that the treasurer's report came out, we averaging $78,000 in the red. We were over 400,000 in the red. If y'all may recall, the taxpayers of Nottaway County had not 1 million, $2 million pulled out of general fund to offset the severed arm that is that landfill. Okay? Now, here we are. My estimation at that point was in 7 months, we're gonna be another $1 million in the red. All right? So the Afghan issue happened, and that gave us some money. However, the trend is going down even without that. You look at that. So why are we increasing fees? I voted against the
Did you
budget.
guys advertise the fee change? No,
Yes.
cause we advertised on, it was.
Yeah, yeah. It was advertised, and like I said, the current county administrator did say, if y'all adopt this, it's with these rates, because these rates are figured into our budget. However, how are y'all gonna plan y'all's budget when we adopted ours last week of June?
And again, it goes to, I mean, the inflation that we're in right now,
Mm-hmm.
the cost of living is just through the roof as compared to what it has been in the past, 6 months. And then a double tax increase on personal property, it's just, I mean, it's gonna hit hard.
I promise you this. This is the reason why I said what I said, and I've said it in multiple meetings. I try to tell, y'all are giving out a 10-cent tax increase, and let me tell you where this is going. And I'll say it here, I'm gonna get beat for talking to y'all tonight, and that's okay, because I don't mind. All right?
I can tell you, it's because we're trying to look out for the citizens of Blackstone.
Exactly.
That's
Not our
right.
pocket.
Yeah.
That's right.
But like Brittany said, the citizens don't have it. Her collections, if we were to increase, you just don't have, cause of the economy.
Yeah.
Right.
So raising the taxes, and then if the citizens don't have it to pay, she's gonna put
You're
more
just gonna be
time and
delinquent.
effort in collecting,
Yeah,
or
you're gonna be
doing
They're
the
just not
stops,
gonna pay it.
or
They're just
taking
gonna
it
pay it.
out.
You know what makes more sense? Let's think about this, and it's cheaper. All right, I was told that at 325 would be safe, that we wouldn't get at 320, we may not recover, because you never recover 100%. 325 sounds a good number to me then, because if you don't need the money, why are you taking it? And if you need the money, do an honest tax increase and let the people know. So if you put it on real estate, or you put it on personal property, and we were at 325, they wouldn't be paying a tenth of what they're gonna be paying now. And you would have your money to support your positions.
It's a double whammy.
That's
What
that's-
I'm surprised about is not only the not equalizing the rate down to create, whereas Jennifer's got 65 cents will bring about $128,000 versus the 85 cents, which at current values, about $123,000. But why do that and drop that relief rate all at one time? I mean, it's a slammer.
crazy.
So, I mean,
It wasn't thought through.
Because some people online have said, oh, well, the town's gonna make a windfall. The town, we're searching to not make a windfall. We
You
wanna
can
make
see-
I think we've
zero.
tried to stay ahead of it. I think Bill and I started looking into it in March.
Mm-hmm.
We have been kicking it, but the problem is the auditors, the other localities, they're all scrambling too, trying to figure out what to do. And I remember you, when we first started looking to it, he called Nottaway, what are you guys doing? Cause we always like to trend and follow. Well, when their budget didn't really come out, or saying that we thought they were equalizing.
So do you think it would help if all us go up there to that meeting? You
It's
think
gonna
that would
take,
help?
it's gonna take the citizens of Nottaway County.
Yeah.
It's not gonna take the
Well, I
seven.
was
To say
thinking
no.
about going as a citizen, because like Phil said, my dad has a trucking company.
Oh, he's got
And
100 million things out there.
Tons of personal property, you know, and of course, you know, dad's getting old, I'm gonna inherit all this stuff, but it's a single income.
Yeah.
How can he budget accordingly, you know, for his business, for the
I think,
home,
I
for
mean, then
everything?
you think
Well,
about
I mean, it's
those
gonna hurt a lot of people. you know,
electricity
so-
rates are gonna go up, and we're not gonna make any extra. It's gonna be, that's gonna hit increased tax rates, increased garbage fees.
People are just gonna stop paying, that's what's gonna happen.
From an
They just won't.
economic
Yeah.
standpoint, people are not making any more, so when you keep driving these taxes up, and people aren't making more as fast as the taxes are increasing, that's when the economy tanks.
I mean, if
Like, correct me if I'm, Philip, isn't that really like, you guys are gonna see this tank happen?
I mean, if
I
the county
think-
gets to that point, I mean, Johnny mentioned that you have to look at cutting fluff possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's fluff. There's fluff in Blackstone. There's fluff somewhere. But I feel like if there's fluff, if the county landfill's an issue, county have to cut it. Let's go.
That's why I've been begging for a study ever since I got here, begging.
And I understand that you could bring waste in from New York, but I don't know. It's
Hey,
just.
how many, use of fund balances did we use this year, Philip? You know, we've dipped into what we've saved to offset the increase for the citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And we did several. I think this year's the most we've done the use of fund balance because we were trying.
In the budget, yep.
You know, just like, having needing positions, but yet we knew the citizens couldn't afford it, so you have to dip into reserves, you have to do a use of fund balance. You have to do that, especially like you said, this is a tiered, one-time, type deal. Why not do a one-time use of revenue, use of reserve, instead of increasing the citizens' tax?
Can I share one personal observation where I think this may end up going? What is next year for Nottaway County Board of Supervisors? Election year. Guess what I think they're gonna do? Overcompensate, because you have that flex.
You look like a hero next year,
Look
drop
like
the
a
rates.
hero, come out, get reelected. Guess what's coming? Because of the people pay attention. The Davenport study said in 3 to 6 years, Nottaway County Board of Supervisors needs to come with a 10-cent real estate tax increase to do their capital projects. I'll never vote for it. I will never vote when we've got a $5 million infrastructure problem with the emergency services tower. $5 million. Why aren't we talking about building that new sheriff's department and incorporating that new structure there? But they want a new complex. Nope. Let's take care of the citizens first and their needs. And when they come out as the hero, they're gonna ask the sheep to come back and vote them back in. I'm gonna tell you, that's what's gonna happen. They'll end up going into the general fund, pulling it down to offset because the money's there. But guess what? That general fund, Davenport to Northern County for all the money. So guess what's gonna happen? Very next year, tax increase. Now, I'm telling y'all this because I want them to fight and prove me wrong. Go ahead, because now you gotta go to work. Prove me wrong.
Well, I give you one comparison. I went up to the Board of Supervisors when Davenport made their presentation. There's a gentleman named David Rose who did Amelia counties 20 years ago, same exact process, and we did several capital projects, school improvements and all that. If you look at the budget for Nottaway County in their general fund, which is everything other than schools, okay? That's how they basically break it up, because they don't have an enterprise fund other than the landfill, okay? And that's not doing all that hot as we've heard. They have in that report, about a $16 million budget. Our past fiscal year, because we didn't have a fire truck in there and stuff like that, we were pretty close to $16 million. Our auditors, American Public Power and Davenport, have recommended a $3.7 million reserve fund. Now, that's probably a little on the low side because that was established back in the mid, 2015, so we probably need to address it and look at it. But we have $3.7 million of undesignated reserve. Got more money in the bank, but it's for street paving and projects and all that kind of stuff, and fire trucks and all that stuff that we save for. The county's budget, believe it or not, was about the same. It was about $16 million in the general fund outside of schools. And I think their undesignated was $14 million. Did I read that right? So their reserve fund is much larger. Anytime they were to contemplate a tax increase, I don't think I could go to this body and say, we've got $13 million in the budget and I need another 10 cents on the tax rate. I don't think it would fly. So,
So I think
I would like some, a motion on this to equalize. We told you in the budget we were going to equalize, but this kind of out of the blue, 60 to 35, we would like to keep it at 60% as well, and that will truly equalize. And if that can be a motion from the committee, I would appreciate that.
so moved. All those in favor? Aye.
And it would be our expectation, so you know, that we would present to you about a 65-cent tax rate on personal property, down from 85 cents, and that should bring in approximately the same amount of money. So there won't be a windfall.
You're gonna exempt the other classifications?
And the other ones are still exempted.
And so this is only for the tangible personal property. This
Correct,
one
it
doesn't-
it only affects the vehicles that increase in value.
Yeah, but not commercial, doesn't have boats, trailers, any of that kind of stuff. That's all
Just
exempt.
Class one.
So they
This is
would
just
stay at the 80.
Privately owned vehicles, and does it take into effect any of the fire departments?
Their emergency
benefits or anything?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
same
Yeah, no.
rate they talked about last night.
Okay.
I think
All right.
that's the same rate.
Yeah, so it would only affect this one that's highlighted, that where she's got that tangible personal property, which is like she said, the vehicles.
Just normal vehicles, normal everyday vehicles with active plates.
So we need to get tax tickets run because we need to get them out in October. All right? So if this is not adopted or proposed or resolved Monday night, and it'll be on the agenda as a portion of this committee's report. We certainly need to do it fairly quickly so Chris can get his books run, so Brittany doesn't get behind. Yeah, we need to get this done. So we will ask that the council consider your motions, and 65 cents as a test. It may be maybe 64. We can maybe adjust it down a penny or two, but I think it gives you the general idea. And then stay at the 60% relief after we found out that she can run a book on 60% relief, and that will net us approximately the same amount of money.
And we don't need to advertise a public hearing because we're going down, right?
Going down. But for transparency purposes, we want to make sure everybody understands the town is not going out here for $1.8 million windfall. Make life easier, but it's not fair to do that. It's just not fair.
Off the backs of our citizens that already struggle.
Hey, guys, I was only speaking for myself. I do
Oh,
not
no.
speak for the board.
I understand 100%. I just enjoy hearing people that speak for our citizens instead of for the pockets of the towns or county.
Some of them would never say the words I said to you.
So, thanks to the ladies, they did a good job. That last spreadsheet you just looked at was spectacularly informational. That was good, and I appreciate both of y'all putting that together. And good job. So the only two actions we were looking for tonight was on the leachate at the penny, but we're going to wait. And then the second one was resolving this to keep it at the 60 rather than 35, and reduce it to 65 cents.
And we hold our bill for leachate, correct,
Yep. Do
until,
you want the notes for this meeting for Monday? Do you want to ask him to do the letter before their 21st meeting?
Is the mayor? He'll be back, won't he?
he's here now.
Is he back in town? Okay, I'll communicate with the mayor tomorrow.
Notes for your meeting.
I don't think
even
he
if
needs
it's not
it. I think he will fully support
Yeah.
the citizens of Blackstone. This is not about the town of Blackstone. This is
Oh,
the
yeah.
citizens.
And the citizens in town have been singled out, Crew, Burkeville, and Blackstone, to pay way more than the citizen outside of town. It makes no sense. It just absolutely doesn't make sense.
I doubt Billy would have an issue with,
Oh, yeah, yeah, I just
Sending a
didn't
letter
know
like
if you
this.
wanted it in the minutes, kinda just off this, even though it wasn't a recommendation.
yeah. All right, is that it?
And I will freshen this up so we get some better.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to.
Fresh
I mean, I don't think anybody knows.
Well, that's the thing, Phil, if they're not running tickets every time our guys go, I don't, that's
If
why I
they're
said,
not running
even if
across
we
the
could
scale, we don't-
use
You're
the
gonna have,
past 2 weeks, you and I could come up with a projection, even if we had the last 2 weeks, if they are
They're running
waiting.
scale now.
yeah.
July 1st, they're running scale.
I mean, you give me and Brittany 10 days of data, we'll try to come up with some kind of, Dan would probably be able to help with the heavy volume months,
Yeah.
but that's the problem, that's what's hard to project it.
Yeah.
But you wanna call
All right, we will adjourn the meeting at 6:50. Sorry, John, that we have to say it as